Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome with Najman Sari. We are looking at love reading. And today, inshallah, I'll be just giving you an overview of Abu Hamid al-Ghazali and his work on the revival of religion, of religious sciences. So he was born in the 11th century, and he was a contemporary or, before or after, but in different places with Ibn Taymiyyah. But they had two different slightly, philosophies, and sometimes they were in debates with each other. But beyond that, by this time, historically, it's always good to know a historical background of where we're coming from, what's happening in this era and this time. A lot of turmoil, a lot of, what tends to happen is when governments get strong, then they need people, or they want, it's agenda-based deen. Then they put into position people who they would be happy to be sponsoring their way. So I'm not getting more into detail of his history or something, but in terms of placing when the people are and so on. So I'm just going to try and go and read to you straight from the book of his, and just for you to know as an overview, this revival of the Ihya Ulumuddin is the Arabic one, is the revival of the religious sciences. And it's done in 4 volumes. I haven't been through them all literally, but what is good is always what I like to do is give you an overview. So in the very beginning, we have, he's also known as Hujjatul Islam, Imam al-Ghazali, and he was born in Tus, I suppose you say it, which is northern Iran, and he is celebrated as the biggest time. Now I'm trying to read through to you. It's always good also to know who else in today's day follows his work, so takes it to the fore. And in this case, it is Hamza Yusuf. Hamza Yusuf Hansen is his name. He's also very renowned, speaker of these days. So he give you the history, and what was beautiful that he, in the courts of that time of Nizam al-Mulk, of a powerful Seljuk minister, he found these series of Nizamiya colleges as a beacon of orthodoxy, and he found what Imam al-Ghazali had to say. He was, brilliant, and so he impressed the Nizam, so he was made a scholar there at a very young age. And yet, after he was really at the height of his career, this is Imam al-Ghazali, while he was teaching, prolific writer on all subjects, theology, theory, ethics, logic, and his remarkable skill in debates. So he writes in his own autobiography, Deliverance from Error, is he had what Hamza Yusuf says as a midlife crisis. I mean, look how in today's days we're always able to give new terms to emotions, experiences, everything from long ago, but now we get a different spin. Anyway, so we had a midlife crisis, and he says that, and this is now Imam Ghazali writing, Hamza Yusuf is quoting him. I reflected on my intention in my public speaking, in my public teaching, and I saw it was not directly pure for Allah's sake, but it was instigated and motivated by my personal quest for fame and prestige. So I became certain that I was a brink of the crumbling bank and already on the verge of falling into the fire unless I was mending my ways. So it is supposedly this introspection that led him, that he couldn't remain content in having the chair, the position that he had. And so he set on a personal quest. So that was the veering into more Sufi things. So ostensibly going out for Hajj, so this is what he had. So he understood that Islam was facing a severe, a grave crisis. So this is what I was saying, that, in those times, we think we are in turmoil and we're in troubled times, but these seasons of ebb and flow of our iman and all those things, that's just been ongoing. So anyway, this is what he did, and he said, the other thing that he had a bit of a problem with already in those days. Imagine now we go on about it, but in his days, he said that he had a disdain for blind conformity. The verbatim, like at school you go and you just rattle off your text that you've studied. But he says that try to get to the real meaning of things, and what is the intent behind the ruling kind of situation. Even though he was a very good in jurisdiction, in fiqh and all those things, but he still said that you need to look at what the intent is. That was his great focus of how he wanted to go. But I've got just so much to read and I don't know where to go, so I'm sort of jumping, and maybe, I hope I'm not confusing. I just pray that whatever little bit comes out from here to you is that it will just encourage you. This set of book is a recent translation, by the way, so it is available. It's by Fons Vitae, another publishing company I really like. But he said that he brought into our tool of Islamic learnings and so on is of logic. And he said how important it is to be able to, explain things. It's not just this is what it is, blind following. So he wasn't one for that. So he wrote a legal philosophy and a lot of many subjects. So, and the interesting thing is that when you have debates with other scholars who didn't agree with him, invariably you will find in the reading of these giants of those times, it's only on maybe one paragraph or one book or one theory of theirs which they feel are off for the other school of thought. Similarly, for the ones who are debating them too, they are 100% wonderful in their own rights, Ibn Taymiyyah, other people, whoever they were debating with, and yet it's just on a few issues they felt that, you're going off. And so for us, the take-home lesson as readers, we're not so deeply grounded in all those things, is take the good from everywhere. Even if those scholars were debating with each other at loggerheads and so on, you need to just take the best out of it. So there's a lot in it that I want to share, but let me just give you the way this book was devised. Even in those days, we think only the West has slotted everything in universities, in subjects, in departments, and so on. But actually, our deen is so rich in that. That's why I find this book. So in these 4 books, the first book is on the book of knowledge, and for me it's been the thickest book. The next one is on the principles of a creed, and the next one is on the mysteries of purification. So that gets maybe into a bit of Sufi stuff. And the last of book 4 is on the mysteries of the prayer. So two, one purification and tazkiyah, and the other on the salah. So you can see the importance of those 2 things in his thing. And the first one is on knowledge and on principle. And the beauty of this, can you believe it? All these books are divided within 40 chapters in themselves. So imagine 40, 81. What's that? 4 fours are 160, 100 or whatever it is, 120. Don't worry about it. But basically, to say how detailed it is, and he talks about the depth of it. So when we started to study this book, just the depth of how much in detail he's gone. After he wrote this and other things, and I'm again jumping, he did say, look, I've really put it as concisely as possible, as properly as possible, that now you don't have to worry too much. So and he was, this is the Nizamiya colleges with this Nizam al-Mulk of that time, who wanted to really bring in the orthodoxy. So sometimes we say that our decline in thinking happened because it's like we were told it's all there, even though Imam Ghazali himself said, no, look at logic, look at reasoning. But sometimes he gets the flack for saying that don't think for yourself, and that's not true at all. So those are the, and I'm just sharing with you. I pray I'm not confusing anybody who knows nothing on these fields, and Allah forgive me if I'm saying something out of turn, but I just wanted to share that these are massive works, deep studies, deep everything, and if it helps us to see that instead of thinking the West, they all get all the Nobel prizes for whatever, all the subjects, or we're not so intellectually competent. So the take home I'd love to see is we have had very big giants of intellectual works done by our scholars of the past and even of today. Allah never leaves any age in vacuum. So much as we can say and think, we're in a crisis today, we don't have any leaders, we don't have, but the beauty is that sometimes you always have scholars. You always have scholars throughout the ages, and it's not been that there's only been one scholar or one particular school of thought, and that's it. We have had debates, and this is the beauty. If you look at what pure freedom of speech is, we've got such a vast thought spectrum going on, from whether super Sufi, super Orthodox, super this, super that. And it's all, there is, if I'm not mistaken, a hadith to the effect that Allah will never let the ummah go wrong on the collective ulama that are there. They will never err on it. So by Allah's decree, if He has chosen certain scholars to have lived through to this day, and we get there has to be merit in it. The same with the Sunnah. Some people wanted to keep the Sunnah alive of how our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he walked, how he talked, and kept that. Some other people went, know what he did and how he did. So basically what I want to say is that read as much as you can, read the overviews if you can, if you can't get into the details, but there is just so much of material available within our culture, our historical, our deen culture of authors and so on. So I don't think I've done any justice to looking at it, but I just want to bring that the name in terms of contemporaries. He was from the 11th century. Before him was Ibn Arabi, a bit earlier or a bit later, and you need to see the schools of thoughts that are running, who like from the current day, I know just because the foreword is done by Hamza Yusuf, that's why I'm giving you that. The other beautiful thing is, look at the translation. So the beautiful thing of these 4 books, it's not one person who translated it. Book 1 was translated by Kenneth Honorkamp, the next one by Khalid William, the next one by Fuad somebody else, and the last one by Abdurrahman Fitzgerald. And the beauty is many of these people are who learned Arabic, who had to learn Arabic, but they became such masters that they were able to translate. So again, shame on us that can we not learn our beautiful language of the Quran and be a bit more competent. So take home motivation, encouragement, Arabic, look at our giant stalwarts from the times before and to these days as well. But do want to know something about Imam Ghazali and not just, nothing is just a name to you. So please go and have a look at that. And that's where I'll leave you. And I pray that Allah forgives me for my shortcomings of not being competent in being able to share the massive work that these scholars like Imam Hamid al-Ghazali has put forth. So with that, I call it a day, and you pray for me and I pray for you, and may this beautiful Ramadan be continuing to go well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.